Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week I take you through a really fun lower body finisher and then I show you my favorite ever protein cookie recipe and have a quick chat about the power of our positive thinking. Enjoy! On this week's episode I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to go through a finisher that I do with you after I do one of my lower body sessions that I've programmed. Let me tell you, I just did so many big compound movements, my legs are dead. But I'm going to do two different finishes. So I'm going to do a lower body finisher and then I'm also going to do a core finisher. So I'll go through them both with you. So to start off with our lower body finisher, we're going to be doing 8 lateral step overs each side, holding onto a set of dumbbells, and then 20 jump squats. And we're going to do that 3 times with minimal rest. So trying to rest as little as possible. And then I'm going to go do the core. So let's get it. So lateral step overs, you're just going to be stepping up onto the bench and then stepping over to the other side and then up and down. So that's 1 to each side. We've got 8 of these. All right, and then straight into 20 jump squats. Feel the burn in my legs. Okay, I've got 2 more rounds of this. Oh man, okay, my legs are dead. Done, lower body done. Let's go do core. Guys, I'm done and dusted. That was hard, a really hard session, but it was so much fun. I encourage you guys, challenge yourself at the gym, it's good. But maybe also if you're not very experienced, grab a PT just to make sure you're doing everything. Grab a PT just to make sure that you're doing everything fine. Like there should be some PTs at your local gym. So if you're new, I would definitely recommend that. Hey guys, you guys all know how much I love prioritizing protein and I've got the best protein cookies recipe. They taste similar to what's that brand? Is it Lenny and Larry's? Lenny and Larry, I think that's the brand. Anyways, it tastes very similar to those and I've always been obsessed with those, but they are on the pricey side and I do like making them myself and then making them a little bit smaller because the serving size for the Lenny and Larry's is like 2 servings worth, and so who's just gonna leave half a cookie behind? You know what I mean? It says 2 servings, but you're probably just gonna eat the whole thing. Whereas these are gonna be in smaller servings. After you make them, they will last like a week in a container, but you can also wrap them up separately and freeze them. And you can either eat them at room temperature or you can chuck them in the microwave and literally heat them up a little bit. And they are so good, especially with a little bit of like vanilla ice cream or something. Oh, best dessert ever. But just a handy snack even on the run to just grab out. By the time you wanna eat it, it will be defrosted and yeah. Let's do it. Method. What we're going to be doing first, we have our eggs, so we'll just crack them into a mixing bowl. Oopsie daisy. Crack-a-doodie, crack-a-da-day. Alrighty, we've got our eggs, we've got our cashew butter, so you can use any sort of nut butter that you like. I really like using cashew butter when I'm baking because it doesn't actually add a flavor to the recipe, if that makes sense. It makes it nice and creamy and makes it taste nice, but it doesn't actually add like a too strong of a flavor. I find peanut butter, I love peanut butter, but then, you know, the recipe's then gonna taste like peanut butter. So if you don't want it to taste like peanut butter, I'd recommend cashew butter or almond butter. We've got our vanilla essence and also our granulated sweetener. So I'm just using the Natvia one, but you can use whatever you like. You can use normal sugar or coconut sugar too. Just the macros will change a little bit. And all we're gonna do is with our electric mixer is blend this up and mix it all together. I always end up making such a mess. I'm so bad. Alrighties, so this is gonna end up being fairly thick to mix, but don't worry, if it's thick, it means you're doing the right thing. So we've got our protein powder, baking powder, some salt, some chocolate chips. Yum, who doesn't love a good old chocolate chip cookie? Yeah. I'm using Macro Mark, of course, because I'm not kidding. Like, I tell people to add protein powder on their cereal and stuff, and they do, and they're like, ew, this is gross. And then I say, no, you don't understand. You have to try it with Macro Mark. Then they go to Coles or somewhere, they buy it, and they're like, mind blown. This is $1 million, and this is 1,000,000 times better. So I'm not even kidding. I've tried so many different protein powders, and that's always the best one. I've got some salt, just put in, a couple of little clicks, a baking powder, just add them in. Let's just add them in right now. Remember what I said? It is pretty thick. You're gonna think, Raya gave me the wrong recipe. It's really hard to mix. Maybe I should add more liquid. Do not add more liquid in. Just be patient with the process and just fold, fold, fold. Sing yourself a little song, go into your happy place. Seriously, there's something about baking or just like being in the kitchen and just feeling mentally refreshed. It's like you just end up getting like a clear mind or something, If you guys have like a standing mixer thing, chuck it all in that. It's pretty easy. I have one, but it's really big because I make like bulk cookies for my little treats business, which by the way, I've kind of like swapped out certain ingredients. Like I sell these loaded cookies filled with so much good stuff, but they're not really high in protein. So I kind of like used a similar recipe, but just like, proteined it up. Just changed some ingredients here and there, but it's based off a very similar recipe to that. Alrighty, so you can grab whatever size balls you like. It makes around about 10. So if you just kind of roll it into 10 bowls, and then if you use the same ingredients as me, that'd be the same macros that I've calculated, which I will insert in the video. So if you do 10 bowls, and then we'll slightly flatten them. Really want the macros to be fully exact, you can weigh out each bowl. So you can weigh out the whole mixture and then divide it into 10 so that you know how many grams to put into each bowl. Alrighty, so these don't actually flatten that much in the oven when they're cooking. So we're actually gonna, make them into the cute little shapes now. Let's not overcook them. Power of our thoughts. So our thoughts can literally dictate like so many different emotions, and it can dictate how we react to certain situations. And obviously, there's time and place for counselors, for psychologists. Like I actually see a counselor, a psychologist once every few weeks, and that really, really helps me deal with a lot of stuff that's happened to me in my life. So I'm not saying like mental health doesn't matter in that aspect. We've all lived with some sort of trauma, most of us, through our childhood or our upbringing, or like in our adult life as well. So I'm not referring, this talk right now, I'm not referring to like trauma or anything. Create healthy thought habits that just help us to be healthier and happier in day to day. So one thing that I've really been trying to concentrate on and really pray into at the moment, I want to be unshakable. So no matter what is happening around me, no matter what circumstances I'm in at that current moment, I am unshakable. So my joy is unshakable. I want my joy to always be there no matter what is happening around me from day to day. So that means that, if I'm stuck in a traffic jam, I'm not going to become impatient. Which, by the way, I'm saying these things because these are things that I actually really struggle with. And that's why I'm praying into it. I want to become unshakable. I am nowhere near there yet. Just as if you wouldn't get frustrated in a traffic jam. Well, yes, I'm with you in that club, but I don't want to be. If we get into the habit or like create healthy thought habits, those sort of things will not worry us and not affect us as much as they currently do. And I just think that would just enhance our health and our overall life so much. And it would make the world a better place, not just for us, but those people around us too, because our moods and our attitudes and our thoughts actually affect all the other people that are around us in that day as well. So some things I've really been trying to implement in my life, when I am in like a stressful situation, I react a certain way, I initially stop and think, okay, why did I react like that? and how could I have reacted differently? So then the next time that comes about, I hopefully can remind myself, I might fail a fair few times, but then eventually I'll be able to remind myself to react differently until that new reaction becomes a habit. For example, I've always just been a busy person, and I used to really pride myself on it. I now know that it can have benefits and it can be a good thing at times, me always wanting to do things, but it can also actually be really bad as well, because I can quickly become too busy that I'm impatient, or I just react unnecessarily to things that happen. For example, if I'm baking something and I have so many things to bake and I have a massive to-do list in my head and I accidentally, crack an egg on the floor or something, my old reaction was to just be so annoyed. I'd be like, why does this always happen when I'm so busy? And I'd just be in a bad mood. People around me would definitely know that I'm in a bad mood. And a few years ago, I started trying to change that reaction. So whenever I cracked an egg on the floor, I would laugh. I would purposely almost force myself to laugh, even though I was not finding it very funny. And now that's become a habit to the point where I actually, it might sound really weird, but it's actually funny. It's like, ha, Rhea, you're so silly kind of moment. It's an actual, my reaction to those sort of situations has actually changed, so that my new natural reaction is to find the humor in it, or oh, that's a funny story for later kind of thing. Still a lot of areas and a lot of circumstances that I do not have an ideal reaction to, and I'm so excited to change more and more. No one wants to be a Karen. The whole Karen thing. No one wants to be a Karen that's just grumpy and annoyed at the world and just picking at everything and frustrated at life. I don't know where people who are like that, we don't know what they've been through in their life. They could have obviously have gone through a lot of trauma or just had so many bad things happen. So I'm not judging them, but I'm just saying instead of having that victim mentality, oh, now this person's driving slow, now I'm going to be late. It's let's change my thought process so that I no longer have a victim mentality, but I can have a positive attitude toward my day. So even though a couple of things have went wrong, the rest of the day has actually been pretty good. Just looking for those little glimpses of light in a dark day. You might be having just a terrible day, but there's still some things either to be grateful for or that you can acknowledge that have went well. And it's not like you're pretending. It's not like you're just putting on a smile and everything's perfect. I wouldn't ever recommend for you to be like that. I definitely think it's really good for us to be aware of our emotions and speak them out when necessary or when needed or when we think that it's going to be beneficial. But at the same time, if we're also concentrating on the good things, I just think that our mood will automatically be lifted, and the things that seem to be going badly may not even end up being as bad as they seem, because we're thinking positive thoughts, speaking positive thoughts into existence. So even if I'm having a bad day, it's no, my day has been great. It's not the fact that everything has went well and everything has went according to plan. It's just my day's been great. There's been a couple of little things here and there that I might, need to talk about or process or whatever. But overall, the day's been great. So I think some of us are naturally half cup full and half cup empty people. We could go one way or the other, but it doesn't mean that we can't train our brain to have a different reaction to the circumstances around us. I'm definitely a big person that says, yes, talk about it, express it. So please do not ever think that by me saying let's think positive thoughts, that you should just suppress all those negative thoughts and just never bring them to surface, because we do need to deal with certain things. So I would definitely recommend seeking a health professional to really help you if there's some trauma that you feel needs to be dealt with. I definitely recommend going to see a healthcare professional, because life is so much better when you do deal with that stuff. You just become so free, and then are able to concentrate more on the positive things in life so that we can become our healthiest and happiest selves. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And let me know in the comment section below if there were certain things that you really enjoyed or want me to talk about on another episode. That'd be amazing. So chat soon. Bye.